Mississippi girl Carly Gregg, 15, seen texting stepdad seconds after allegedly fatally shooting mom, Ashley Smiley, who discovered her secret life. It was published on September 19, 2024, a couple of days ago. Chilling video shows a Mississippi teenager calmly walking through her home to gun down her mom, then sending loving texts to lure her stepdad there and shooting him too. Carly Gregg, 15, is currently on trial for allegedly killing her high school teacher mom, Ashley Smiley, Smylie, and then shooting her stepdad, Heath Smiley, in their Brandon, Mississippi home back in March, after they learned of her secret life with drugs. Alarming surveillance video shown to the court on Tuesday showed the baby-faced teen. What do you mean baby-faced teen? She is 15, so she does still have a baby's face, awkwardly shuffling around the home, allegedly clutching a gun behind her back shortly before she opened fire. Here's the video. Also definitely let me know if you guys want me to show pictures and clips on the screen, because I don't know when I'm trying to fall asleep if the YouTuber tells me here's the thing and it makes me look at the screen. It disrupts me falling asleep. But let me know if you like it or not. The article continues. Gregg, wearing a Nirvana band shirt, was filmed disappearing off camera into her mother's bedroom just seconds before 3 shots rang out, followed by Smiley's piercing screams. The teen then returned to the kitchen roughly 10 seconds later, still allegedly clutching the weapon behind her back. Prosecutors said Gregg faced the camera the whole time in a bid to hide the weapon, which was later identified as a .357 Magnum handgun. Once she was back in view of the camera, Gregg could be seen grabbing her mom's phone off the kitchen counter and calmly taking a seat on a stool as her 2 dogs stood beside her. I don't know why, but from the second she walked into the house, it's like the dogs knew something were off, and they were pacing around everyone. And then when they hear the gunshots, they freak out, but they still come and stand beside Gregg. Prosecutors allege Gregg then casually fired off several texts, including one to her stepdad to lure him to the home. Now, what I want to know is, what did she think was going to happen? I what were her parents' decision to deal with that problem. Like, I'm sure getting away with killing your parents, it's going to be a lot more to deal with than whatever it was before. How does a 15-year-old come to the conclusion that the best option forward is to do this? And how did she think she was gonna get away with it? It was her home. She must have known there are cameras. I mean, she knew there were cameras, but she still did it. So she just wanted her to die. Why? The text that she sent to Heath, his stepdad, was, "When will you be home, honey?" When Heath returned to the home a short time later, Gregg allegedly shot him in the shoulder before he was able to wrestle the gun away from her. Prosecutors said the teen had also allegedly texted a friend asking her to come over because there was an emergency. The friend claimed that Gregg asked her when she arrived at home, quote, "Have you ever seen a dead body? My mom is in there." Carly Gregg allegedly carried out the shootings just hours after a friend had apparently tipped off her mom, who worked as a math teacher at her daughter's Northwest Rankin High School, about the teen's marijuana use. Is that it? What? So you're telling me one of your friends ratted you out to your mother about you smoking weed, and you go on and kill your mother, and you wanted to kill your stepdad too? How does that make sense? I mean, it still wouldn't make sense if you tried to kill the friend, but maybe just a tad bit more sense to kill the one that told your mother about it, not your mother. Anyway, when the pair returned home from school that day, the mother and Carly Gregg, the mom started searching Gregg's room and discovered the stash of vape pens. From the testimony of a friend, he was so worried about Carly's use of smoking marijuana, so worried about her being high, and so worried about her having these burner phones that Carly's mom didn't know about, that he felt compelled to tell Miss Ashley Smiley that day. No, that was the wrong move. Definitely. And to think that the mother didn't notice it before someone told her. Like, she's going to the same school as her daughter. And she's apparently, according to her friend, which is a man, a boy, she was always high, and it was so out of control that he felt the need to tell her mother. She must have had a drug-induced psychosis or something. Because why else would you think the way out of it is this? Psychiatrist Dr. Andrew Clark testified that the teen was facing a mental crisis the day of the shooting. No, Sherlock. He said the teen was having significant mood swings, hearing voices, and having dissociative problems, which were made worse by her medications. Oh, so she was taking Why don't they elaborate on these things? What medications? And then her mother finds out she's smoking marijuana. For Carly, these are the words of the psychiatrist. For Carly in particular, she so cared about her mother's approval. So for her, this was a crisis. You can't be after your mother's approval and kill her. Meanwhile, Carly's stepfather testified Tuesday that the teen, who he described as a sweet little girl, had no recollection of the shooting. What? He said, Heath was his name, he said, I never seen anybody like that, even in movies. She was not herself, and I do not believe she even recognized me. Heath said, adding that he and Carly Gregg still talk daily and their relationship is good. She tried to kill you, and she killed her mother, who was your wife. She's forever gone because of her decision. Gregg has been charged with murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. But yeah, wouldn't that show that she remembers tampering with evidence? She clearly wasn't completely out of her mind. It's very planned. What I find interesting about this is that they just threw out the word medications and didn't mention what medication it was, but they are talking about the weed. In my opinion, neither of those things by themselves are responsible, but we see a lot of these cases where the children are medicated while they commit these crimes. The medications that were supposed to stop them from having these things, right? Like it's supposed to help their mind, but time after time we see that when push comes to shove, these children will do the unthinkable, and those medications will not stop anything. And in my opinion, it makes it worse. I think that if a lot of these killers were not medicated, they would not make the decision to do this in last second. I think there are a lot of medications that turn off some parts of our brains. So she didn't feel the feelings for her mother. She just made the decision to do it. She got it done. No feelings behind it. It is the worst idea to turn off our children's feelings by drugs. Now, since I think she was sentenced, let's go check on X and the hashtag Carly Gregg and see what are good judge that was not fazed neither by her age nor by her tears. Someone who does this action with no remorse should be in prison forever, right? What else did we expect? Did she expect? Did she expect to just not have any consequences for this action because she's 15? I don't know. But I think this is a good decision to keep her in prison forever. What do you think? Alright, now for the next true crime story. We are going to be reading an article from CBS News titled How a 12-year-old Massachusetts girl who escaped a serial killer likely saved the lives of others. This one was published on September 22nd, 2024. January 7, 1994 started out like any other typical winter morning for Rebecca Savarese of Pittsfield. Savarese. Savarese. They called her Becky. There was snow on the ground, and it was bitterly cold as the 12-year-old walked to school. Then, around 7:10 a.m., at one of the busiest intersections in town, a man came up beside her. Becky later said he had a mustache, but he didn't shave. He seemed like a nerd to me. The stranger quickly pulled out a gun and held it up against her. Becky said the gunman threatened her. Quote, "Just do everything I say. Everything will be perfectly okay." Then he steered her toward his truck and told her to get in. But Becky refused. "I didn't care if he shot me. I just knew I was not going to get into that truck." Instead, that's when Becky said she came up with the idea that possibly saved her life. She faked an asthma attack. She explained, "I was like, can I sit down? Can I just sit down a minute? I was trying to take my backpack off and he tried to grab me and he got my backpack and then I just started to run." The gunman jumped into his truck and sped off. Becky ran into a man clearing snow off a sidewalk who called police. At about the same time, a witness called in with 3 a second I thought two people were in the truck, but no, he was a movie theater janitor before, and when he was caught, he was a handyman. After Lent was arrested for the attempted abduction of Becky Savarese, authorities wondered if Lent could have abducted other children, including a 12-year-old girl who had disappeared 5 months earlier. Sarah Ann Wood from New York, 100 miles from Pittsfield. She was last seen on her bike leaving church as she was headed home, less than a mile down the street. When authorities questioned Lent about Sarah's disappearance, he eventually confessed in horrific detail that he abducted, essayed, and killed Sarah. He also admitted to kidnapping and murdering 12-year-old Jimmy Bernardo from Pittsfield. Hunters had found Jimmy's body in a rural and isolated area 1,200 miles away from Pittsfield. But detectives had no idea where Sarah was buried. When they asked Lent, authorities say he continuously lied as to where he buried her. The article goes to talk about the new documentary that is on Paramount from 48 Hours, which is a show, a true crime show, and it is titled The Unending Search for Sarah Ann Wood. Authorities credit Becky for breaking Sarah's abduction case wide open. New York State Police Detective Frank Lawrence said, "She's the key. She's the linchpin. She's what made it all happen. She got away. That's what put us onto Lewis Lent. God knows how many more children he would have killed if Becky that day didn't decide to just run, and how he didn't shot her. I don't know for what reason." Trin, who spent many long hours, I almost forgot who Trin was, but it was another detective, who spent many long hours interviewing Lent in prison, said that Lent admitted he would often drive for many miles hunting for children to kidnap. Lent had a large hunting area. He mentioned that if he had money and he had the gas, that's what he would do. He would go out looking for vulnerable children. Absolutely disgusting. What a horrifying life. Like, that's all he did. He didn't really have a good job. He probably didn't have a family, no friends, nothing. Just being a menace to the world. But Becky Savarese's bravery and quick thinking changed all of that. often wonders what would have happened if Becky had not been able to escape. This attorney said, quote, "I think Becky Savarese not only saved herself, but saved countless children, because this man, Lewis Lent, was developing his skills. He was getting better at it. She outsmarted him and brought an end to his reign of terror." Back in 1994, Becky's mother, Chris, told the news that she often lectured her daughter about the steps to take in case she was ever abducted. To kick, punch, bite, spit, and do anything you can to get away. Becky had also been warned about strangers from a policeman who came to her school that year before the incident. Dusty Wood, Sarah Wood's brother, says Becky's actions are an example as to why educating youth about abduction prevention is so important. If no one had said anything to Rebecca, she would have had a different outcome. End quote. That is very true. She might have thought to herself that listening to this adult man with a gun would be the smartest way to go about it. She would have not said anything and would have just gotten into the car to, comply and not get hurt. And I can't blame any other children for not doing that. But this 12-year-old Becky, she was really brave, because I can't even imagine making such a brave decision to run away from someone that's pointing a gun at you. But I don't know why he didn't shoot. Maybe he didn't want to cause a scene. He thought he got away by not being able to kidnap her. So he thought to himself, maybe it would be better to not cause a scene by firing a gun. So he just got in his car and ran away. She made the best decision she could. Every year, Dusty Wood and some family members participate in the Ride for Missing Children, which is a 78-mile bike ride that was created in Sarah's honor by their father, Bob Wood. Riders stop at schools along the route to talk to children about how to stay safe. Riders also pay silent tribute to those children who are missing and are never coming home, and those that they hope may be found alive. Dusty Wood says he cannot do anything to bring his sister Sarah back, but he can try and make positive change by educating the public about how to keep children safe. He also said, quote, "The most important thing for us as a family is to protect kids and make sure that if there's anything that can be done to protect them from monsters like Lewis Lent, that it be done." End quote. And this article is concluded by saying to learn about how to educate children about abduction prevention, please please visit the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children website, missingkids.org. And that is the end of this article. What a horrific case. I can't even imagine being in the shoes of the family members to lose a child to these circumstances. How would you live the rest of your life knowing what happened to her? Knowing that the monster that did this to her is still alive? I just don't know how they do it. God bless them. They are doing good. Now to finish this video, I'm going to be reading an update on the Bryan Kohberger and Idaho case. I won't be reading all of it because I'm sure by now if you've watched my videos, you know about this case. This article is from Fox News. It was making that banging noise. It stopped. No, it's going. Anyway, it's from Fox News and it's titled Idaho Student Murders Suspect Bryan Kohberger Asks New Judge for Courthouse Wardrobe Exception. Lawyers for criminology PhD student Kohberger was accused of killing 4 University of Idaho undergrads in a 4 a.m. home invasion attack, have asked the new judge overseeing his case to let him wear street clothing rather than a jailhouse jumpsuit to court. Something that was granted to him in 2023 while he was in Lehigh County Jail. He only appeared in orange jumpsuit the first couple of appearances, and then he has been wearing suits to court. Now that the proceedings have been moved to Ada County following a successful motion for a change of venue, his defense is asking the new judge, Stephen Hippler, to allow him to continue dressing up, which they wrote in court documents would protect his right to fair trial. So his lawyers saying that to have a fair trial he should get to wear suits. But I don't get it. The presumption of innocence seems to be out the window. If they kept an innocent man behind bars for, how long has it been? For over a year. So you'd think they know he's not innocent. Why aren't they speeding up this trial? How much more detail do they need? It's crazy how slow this thing moves. At the end of this article it says a judge entered not guilty pleas on his behalf at his arraignment in 2023. The trial has already been delayed and is expected to begin in June 2025. If so, they've been waiting for this for a long time. The charges against him are 4 counts of first-degree murder and another one of felony burglary. He could face the death penalty if convicted. The defense is trying to have it taken off the table. I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for a this crime. I don't see that happening, at least for a long time. But in my opinion, I don't see it happening ever. I don't think this man is ever going to confess to anything. What do you think about this case?